Now we're going to make a little trip back in the past. That means the 1920s. I am always absolutely furious when I hear people speaking of the 20s as the silly 20s, because it was the most exciting period that I had had the joy of living through. It was just after the First World War, and everything seemed possible because we all had a great hope that the war were ended forever. There was a period of joy, of really it was peace coming. And during all the experiences that we did at this time, the jazz appeared coming from America and had a very shaking influence. Then everybody was very much intrigued by all the rhythms and the new timbres that came to Europe from Broadway or from Harlem. And a lot of musicians were interested by the handling all those possibilities. Stravinsky made his wonderful ragtime for 11 instruments, and I had always the idea to try to take the jazz out of the dancing hall to bring it in the concert hall, which later I did with the Création du Monde. But to try a little experience, I wrote a shimmy, which was the dance rather à la mode in the 20s. And it's not really a shimmy like the shimmies that you could hear at this time. It is perhaps, I would say, the same difference that you have between a photograph and a portrait made by a contemporary painter. It's the photograph. It is not the photograph of a shimmy. It is the portrait of a shimmy. And for that, as in the jazz bands of these times, there were always a little song which was hummed by one of the musicians. Jean Cocteau wrote a little poem to add in this little shimmy, which is very Dadaist-minded, and which also made the piece more a portrait of shimmy. But I insist a little bit on that, but I think I wanted to do it. And then we made a rough translation of this poem that Madeleine is going to read you.
Well, you all know what caramel mou means, I suppose. Soft candy or soft caramel. Take a young girl, fill her up with ice and gin, shake it up to make an androgyne, and send her back to her family. Hello? Operator? Don't disconnect me. Don't connect me. Don't connect me. Don't. Oh, how sad it is to be the king of animals. Oh, love is the greatest of all pains. Take a young girl, put on her lips a dash of bitter, and shake it all, and send her back to her family. I know a man who was so unhappy in love that he played Chopin's nocturnes on the drum. Hello, operator? Don't disconnect me. I was speaking to... Take a young girl, fill her up with ice and gin. Don't you think that art is a little... Shake it up to make an androgyne and send her back to her family. One says to the child, wash your hands. One doesn't say, wash your teeth. Caramel mou.
Now, my wife told you that caramel mou means a soft camel. But also it is related to the folklore of the theater. Because in 1920 we didn't have those little chocolate ice cream called Eskimo glacé, and during the intermissions we could hear all the ushers saying caramel mou, bonbon acidulé, pastilles de menthe, entr'acte. And now caramel mou.
Cameo probably was the first classical composer to use the jazz idiom, and I don't think it's ever been used better since, I'm referring to Creation of the World, than he used it.
Dave Brubeck, the jazz composer and pianist, is a former student of Milhaud's.
Because he seemed to use it just at the correct time in his own development, in the development of jazz, and the way it could be a new, fresh spirit in classical music.
Remplissez la de glace et de gin, secouez le tout pour en faire une androgyne et rendez-la à sa famille. Allô, allô, mademoiselle, ne coupez pas, demoiselle, ne coupez pas, demoiselle, ne coupez pas, elle ne coupez pas, ne coupez pas, coupez pas, faites pas, ah, ah, oh, oh, comme c'est triste, c'est que de voir les animaux, personne n'a dit mot, oh, oh. C'est là de glace et de gin, mettez-lui la bouche un petit peu d'angostura, secouez le tout pour faire une androgyne et rendez-la à sa famille. On très malheureux en amour qui jouait les natures du Chopin et le tambour. Allô, allô, mademoiselle, ne coupez pas. Je parlais, ah, je parlais, oh. Remplissez-la de glace et de gin, ne trouvez-vous pas que l'art est un peu? Secouez le tour pour en faire une androgyne. Et vendez-la, et vendez-la, et vendez-la à ta famille. On dit à l'enfant, il a quoi les mains, on dit il a pas la quoi les dents. Caramel,